hall, which Trey's also broadcasting out, on this concept of real estate. If you think about property, it's quite a very deep concept. There was a time in human history when there was no ownership of property. I know people may find this hard to believe. Yeah, you went and killed your woolly mammoth or whatever, your mammoth, and you had your jacket. That was your personal property. But the concept of owning land and owning air and owning oxygen and the trees is not a human concept, okay? It is something that really only comes into being around feudalism. When we started domesticating animals and we started creating the plow, and someone said, before we used to roam around like natural nomads, right? But at a certain point, we created this technology of plowing the land and domesticating animals. And at that point, we started owning something called property ownership. And it was a profound change in human consciousness, because the concept of owning physical earth, that it was yours, really didn't exist in the human psyche. And that comes into being when we start the agricultural era, and it starts accelerating beyond that. In the modern world today, there's a way that you or I go own property, and I'll walk you through that. But those in power created those rules for us, the plebes. They follow a different set of principles when it comes to owning property. They just take it. Okay? And the reason I started thinking about this and trying to convey this in a simple way is because that other scumbag, Jared fucking Kushner, who got a $2 billion fucking loan while he was in office from his relationship with his father-in-law, who's another scumbag, Trump, and his daughter was in the White House. Ever wonder why this idiot's in the White House? I mean, talk about nepotism, okay? But if you see all the people that make billions and billions of dollars in the world, who are they? They're real estate moguls. Real estate is, in the modern imperialist world, one of the best modes of investment. Why? Because it keeps appreciating. Not only do you, when you buy a piece of real estate, it appreciates, if you look at historically, about 8% per year. It keeps growing in value. But then if you develop the real estate, you get rental income. If it has assets on it, like oil, gas, minerals, right? You make more and more money, right? It's a multiplicative effect. So real estate is quite valuable. So think about, I'll sort of walk you through this. And the reason I started thinking about this is, and by the way, if people are watching on StreamYard, I'm sharing my screen. I called it Genocide in Gaza, Free Real Estate. And I put together this book cover this morning. It was about 4 a.m. I said, you know, what the fuck is Jared Kushner really about? You ever see those stupid real estate seminars? Sometimes people are selling at 2 a.m. on TV. They used to have them, you know, buy real estate with no money down. Well, I said this would be the ultimate book. It's a book cover I put together. It says Genocide: How to Buy Real Estate with No Money Down by Jared Kushner and Bibi Netanyahu. New York Times bestseller, special offer $666 for signed copy, forward by Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. It pretty much says it all. You see, Jared Kushner is a fucking real estate guy. And by the way, he got into Harvard. And by the way, this is satire. But he may write a book on it after he sees this tweet doing so well. He may actually go write a book on this. That's what a scumbag he is. But Jared Kushner got into Harvard not because of any credentials. By the way, 80% of the people coming to Harvard are because it's called legacy admission. His father paid Harvard $2.5 million. While he was at Harvard, he was doing slumlord work. He would buy cheap real estate in Somerville and he would flip it. Where did he get the money? Papa gave it to him. You see, real estate is all about where you get financing. So if you have relationships with banks, you know how to leverage, you can make a shitload of money. All right. So let me sort of walk you through this. The other important thing to mention is that I was very disappointed to see this quote this morning, but you know, Jefferson, who wrote the Declaration of Independence, didn't really give a damn about the Native Americans. And this is what he said. He goes, that this unfortunate race, referring to the Native Americans, who we have been taking so much pains to save and civilize, have their unexpected desertion and ferocious barbarity as justified extermination, and now await our decision on their fate. Okay? So you came across these people and you said, I'm not going to pay them for their land. I'm just going to take it. Genocide. It is getting real estate at no money down. And so if you think about it broadly like this, imagine if you could just go to your neighbor's house and just take it. Got your neighbor's house, got $1 million house. Imagine you just go rape and pillage his wife and his children, and you just get to take it. You don't have to pay anything. Isn't that a wonderful way of getting real estate? No money down. You just own it. And this is how the elites still get real estate. To make us more civilized, we, the working people, they created banks and mortgages, etc. So in the world of the normal model, if you're buying real estate, think about you're selling your home. There's typically a buyer and there's an in-between agent, a lawyer, someone who makes sure this transaction could be an internal agent, right? So many of you, if you own a piece of property, or let's say you're getting ready to sell something, you put your property up for sale and you got to find a buyer, and typically there's an agent, okay? So how does this work? Well, let's say you're selling your property for $500,000. The buyer gives you $500,000 and you give him the deed to your property. And this agent in between facilitates all this. The deed is something registered with the government. So over the last 200, 300 years of property law, this is why you have so many lawyers, we've created a concept called contracts. Many countries don't even have this concept. That's why if you go to certain quote unquote third world countries, that you go buy a piece of land, you don't even know who owns it. And there's always land disputes, okay? So one of the things the United States prides itself on is having good legal infrastructure. So when you buy something, it's registered with the state, with the government, you know it's your property. If you go try to buy land in other countries, it's quite risky, okay? You buy a piece of property and then 5 years into it, someone will say, no, that's my property, and it'll go into litigation. But in the United States, the seller gives the deed to the buyer who gives him $500K. Well, how does this happen? The buyer typically doesn't have $500,000. What typically happens is a buyer will go to a loan, go to a bank, and the bank will give, to get 500K, the bank will give him a loan of a 400K, and the other 100K he puts down. So he gets 400K in loan, and he puts $100,000 down. This should really be in 100. But in return for that, he's in debt to the bank for that 400,000. Now interest rates are around 7%. Okay, so 7%, 400,000, 15-year mortgage. You're paying, monthly, roughly something probably about $4,000 to $4,500 a month on that $400,000 loan over 15 to 30 years. And that's how you get your 500K. You may put 100K down. Everyone understand this? So this is how they make all of us buy real estate. We go into debt, and we buy that. And then what happens at the time of closing is the seller themselves may have had a loan to another bank when they bought the house. So maybe 300K goes there to pay down their loan, and the seller pockets 200K. So this is a typical real estate deal, right? And most of us have to abide by this rule that the swarm has created for us. Any questions? So this is what you call buying real estate. And this is a set of legal contracts, jurisprudence that's evolved over the last couple hundred years, right? So why am I telling you this? So think about civilization has evolved over the last thousands of years about property ownership. There was a time a king, you didn't have all this. A king just said, that's my land. Oh, I like that land. That's mine. Get the fuck off my land. There was no deeds. There's no banks. That's my land. Get the fuck off. Okay? That's what we did with the Native Americans. Get the fuck off. All you Indians over in Ocala or Florida, we're going to ship you over to Arizona, put you on we just take, the concept was just kings just taking over land. Invaders came in, right? The might makes right. Now, the theory is that this has changed, right? We're taught in school that we're very civilized human beings. We're civilized. We have law. We have deeds. We have bank loans. We pay our we're all good citizens. What I would argue, it's not true. In fact, Jared Kushner, this came out 6 months ago. Jared Kushner says Gaza waterfront property could be very valuable. Donald Trump's son-in-law says Israel could bulldoze an area of Negev Desert and move Palestinians there. So move them out and take over that area, right? Waterfront property. Now, if you guys have bought property ever, waterfront property, it's worth trillions, guys, trillions. Now, we all know Gaza, off the coast of Gaza, is 2.5 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. Gaza actually has quite a bit of water. Some of you may not know this, but I don't know if you know this, but Israel is running out of water. Did you guys know this? Israel's water tables have gotten way down. They don't have enough water. Gaza has quite a bit of aquifer. So does southern Lebanon. So by the way, as the Israeli army is marching through there, do you know they're saying this is our land, and they're actually starting to sell the land. They're advertising it. There's no deeds. There's no bank loans. Very different processes going on here. Now, this is something I'm working on. It's a work in progress. It'll get better. I'll probably do a swarm-like video on this. But so that's what Kushner wants. So I said, yeah, Kushner obviously would write a book like this. Don't you think so? He'd probably start selling his own real estate seminars. Genocide, how to buy real estate with no money down. All right. And by the way, Trump and Harris they both support something like this. So let's look at a different real estate model. You have Palestine, you have Israel. Now the agent here there's no real estate agent. It's the Israeli military and the US military. That's the closing agent here. And what happens here at a broad level is they need to, if they wanted to buy Palestine, they'd have to give them $2 trillion, let's say. I just picked that number. It's probably in that range, plus or minus 2 trillion, okay? Probably plus or minus $500 million. But this is what they would want to do. So what does Israel actually do? Well, Israel got an $18 billion loan, which is the money we sent Israel, minimum since October 7, 2023. They keep that money. They fund their military operations. Guess what? A portion of that goes to AIPAC. And in the last year, they funded about $100 million to own the US Congress. There's not a bank here. The bank is us, we, the people in the United States. We're funding this. We're the ones who gave Israel through our scumbag Congress people. 99% of them are owned by Israel. So the Israeli Defense Forces, the US military backing them, goes and invades Gaza, which is what they're doing. And the reality is there's no money flowing into Palestine. What they're delivering to Palestine is genocide. And that 2 trillion in value of all that land is going to go back to Israel, to the bankers, to the Trumps, to all the real estate developers, and there's whole groups of people who are going to massively profit from this land grab, massively, just like Ukraine too. So this is what actually is going on, guys. This is no different than might makes right. How is this any different? This would be no different, than, let's say you have a neighbor next door. He's got a nice piece. He's got a house. Let's say he's got $1 million house. You go over to him and this is your business model. You want to get his house. You go get from friends around, the house is worth $1 million. You go get around 200,000. You take that 200,000 around for 100,000. You hire some hitmen, military people. Then you give the other 100K to the local police in your town and to the judges. And then you go over to your neighbor, Bob, and you say, hey, Bob, look, I like your house. He goes, how much? I'm going to give you $10,000. He goes, what do you mean $10,000? I want your house, 10 grand. The next day you have your friends who are part of a mafia go and rape his wife, kidnap him, move him somewhere halfway around the world, put a gun to his head. He can't work. He's losing his property. He's willing to take the 10 grand. You pay off all the judges and you just take his property. Isn't that an amazing real estate deal? No bankers involved. You just fucking take his property. That's what's going on. It's that simple. It's a land grab. And when you think about it, when you think about this land being worth trillions of dollars, the minerals, the resources, the strategic importance. Do you think they're even thinking about what some guy puts on social media? Just think about it in the broader context. We're fleas to them. You have to put this in context. So you have these quote unquote anti-Zionist guys saying ceasefire now, putting pictures of babies dying. Do you understand that these people think they're just vermin, they're just fleas? I'm going to make $2 trillion. Fuck you. I don't give a fuck what you think. I'm going to put Trump in. I'm going to put Harris in. It doesn't matter. You fucking morons are yapping on social media. You're not building a movement. You're no threat. I'll let you talk all day because I don't give a fuck. I'm going to make $2 trillion. I'm going to, the U.S. military's given me about 18 billion, probably 100 billion in real when you launder all the money through the laundering process. Joe Biden, Trump, Kushner's family, Ivanka Trump, they're all going to make big. We are just vermin to them in this larger scheme of things. So I really want you to get, this is buying land, quote unquote, buying land, but you're using the force of the U.S. military, the force of the funding on the backs of the American people. And then you use a big portion of that money to fund media. You go fund Hamas, which is what Israel did. So you want to start shit so you can justify going and bombing them and taking over their land, right? Qatar, it's very well known for the last 30 years, Hamas was funded by Israel. And Israel openly talks about greater Israel. There was one of the Israeli finance ministers just live. He said, our goal of Israel is Lebanon, Syria, right? Parts of Iraq, parts of Egypt. That's greater Israel. And that was the founding documents of Israel. They always had that from day one. How are you going to get that? Are you going to pay for it? You're going to take a bank loan? No, you're going to just fucking take it. How are you going to take it? It's business agreements. I hope you guys understand the level of filthy people these people are. MAGA, come on, make America great. It's just an ad program. It's just advertising. It's just a mind fucking. So over here, they're showing the monkey some shiny objects. And over here, they're going to get 2 trillion. They don't give a fuck about you. And you really have to understand, this is real estate. It's a real estate grab. And so this book cover I put up is not that far from reality. It is really isn't that far. If Jared Kushner could sell a course on how to do this and do it, he surely would. So this book cover is not that far from reality. Genocide, how to buy real estate with no money down. And we in America are supporting this shit. If you're an American, truly an American, I think, Matt, I think one of you guys said, was it Matt or one of you guys said that, I think it was one of you guys over in Wisconsin said, I want to learn, sometimes we have to shed our old snakeskin. Is one of you guys said that, right?
Yeah, that was me.
That's what we're talking about. Do the people in America want to evolve? Or do we believe in these quote unquote American values of subjugating other people, committing genocide, and just stealing other people's shit? There's 2 American values here going on. One American values, which is about genocide, subjugation, imperialism, fucking over people, and the other American values of hardworking people, working people, immigrants who come here, play by the rules. 2 different Americas. The America that our movement is fighting for is the latter one. The America Donald Trump, fucking Harris, Booby fucking Kennedy, Joe Rogan, Elon Musk are fighting for that other America, which is genocidal fucking maniacs. So my running for president, our movement is giving people, in many ways, a moral alarm clock saying, what the fuck are you doing? If you support any one of these fuckers, in my view, you're anti-American. You're not a human being. You believe in a might makes right model of human existence. So the issue is, do we want to go beyond that, involved consciously, our consciousness? That's what this is really about. I mean, you look at Netanyahu's physiognomy, he looks like the fucking devil. I mean, these people's physiognomy reveals who they are. You look at Jared fucking Kushner, he looks like a fucking soy boy. I mean, this guy would never be in his role if it wasn't for his father's money. All of these people, they're not human beings. They are propped up by imperialism, by greed, by human values that actually do not correspond to most of humanity. So those of us sitting in America, the 300 million of us, we have a lot of responsibility. We have First Amendment, Second Amendment. We were given all these Bill of Rights. And right when those were given, the elites went to work to manipulate the American mind. And that's what we've been under, to give them creature comforts and essentially buy them out so they sell out all of humanity. But if you think about it, this is just like our dollars are funding, we're the bank, funding Israel on behalf of all the bankers and all the elites to go literally wipe out people and just take their land. Just take it. That's what's going on. And at the same time, concomitantly with this is massive propaganda being done at a very deep level to treat these people like they're vermin, they're fleas, they're nobodies. And you have to do that. You see, you have to denigrate human beings. Oh, those people are just those people over there. They don't mean much. Their lives don't mean as much. So that's what's going on. It is literally genocide is a real estate business model. It is a very lucrative model. And that's what's going on. And we in America need to make a decision. Do we want to support that? And this comes to many deep philosophical questions. Do you believe in a God? Do you believe in spirituality? Do you believe in something after this? Or do you believe this is it? Is it just a material world where right makes might, or might makes right? And if that latter is true, regardless of which way you choose, if you believe might makes right, then the 8 billion of us better exercise our might. If you don't believe there's a God, if you don't believe there's anything beyond all this, regardless of which way you choose, it still gives you back, whether you're an atheist, it still brings you back to the same conclusion. Those people who believe in some of these virtues, whether you believe in a God or not, we must organize independently. And that's what our movement's doing. Our movement is educating people on this fundamental issue of, do you want to save yourself? And if you want to do that, we have created an infrastructure like nothing that has ever crossed this planet before to educate you on the dynamics, the physics of change. And if you weren't a good student in high school, well, or college, whatever you were, well, this is an opportunity for you to be a good student. You can learn this knowledge. But most importantly, our movement is teaching men to be men, women to be women, and really have a backbone to go after the not so obvious establishment. Tony Pierce and I did yesterday a thing on GMOs, right? In New Zealand. And Tony said, some of the Kennedy people have also infiltrated that anti-GMO movement. I said, Tony, we got to go after those people right at the beginning of that seminar. And Tony said, yeah, we got to do that, right? Because the reality is, when you go through this material and you actually understand what's going on, you will realize what I shared, who the real enemies are. The enemies of we, the working people, are the not so obvious establishment. You saw what Kennedy did, and we called it 5 years ago. Talk the big game, declare your independence, I will never support, and boom, he only fought one lawsuit for ballot access, by the way, and he lost that. We're fighting 7 lawsuits with no lawyers, and we're moving forward. These people are not fighters, guys. They will never fight for anything because they've never had to fight for anything. Everything was given to them. So if you made it this far tonight, I know many of you have gone through the program, study it again. Learn. We have to fight every day. Now, we have made it easy to fight every day. We know all of us work. How do you work a full-time job and fight? Well, we made these cards. Hand out those cards in the United States during the election. The cards say, save yourself. vote right in Dr. Shiva. And the back of the card, if someone can bring it up, has a very simple thing. Lifespan is going down, cost of living is going up. It's that simple. Now, it took us tremendous amount of thinking and work to, so that's what the card says. Save yourself, vote right in Dr. Shiva. Scroll down, get these cards. You can print them out. If you don't want to, if you want to do it on your own, you can DIY it, do it yourself. And the back of the card says they're killing you, shatter the swarm, call to action, and it gives the data. Now, we can't make it any simpler, but I can tell you this card was a piece of innovation. To the right of that card, it says learn to fight back. So we're looking for people. Go to the front of the page, whoever's sharing that. The front of the card says, save yourself. Do you want to save yourself? If you don't, bye-bye. We don't want to, if you're looking for saviors, it's not the right place. We'll give you recommendations to Donald Trump. You can go, booby fucking Kennedy. You can go there. But if you want to save yourself, scroll down, then you should vote right us in because we're a movement. And the reality is they're actually killing you. They don't give a fuck about you. They want people on drugs. They want people brains, destroyed so they can't think. Lifespan is going down. If you have a son or a daughter today, your son or daughter is going to have a shorter lifespan than you. I mean, the data is so obvious. Like would you consider this a good job? But to the right of that card, it says learn to fight back. And you scan that in, people go to shatter the swarm, and that's where their journey begins. That video is a detailed video. I'm glad that Glenn and Crystal shared it. It tells you who is the swarm in a very scientific but very accessible way. And then we have a whole video series, a course, free. Do you want to get off the plantation? Because what we realize is some people say, oh yeah, this is great. Thank you, Dr. Shiva. Well, when it comes to action, they don't want to do anything because they are of a slave mentality. They still want to be on the plantation. They think Trump is going to do something. They think Kennedy's going to do something. They still have these illusions that the slave master is going to free them. So we ask people, do you want to get off the plantation? If you do, then become a warrior scholar. So we've created the actual, here's kindergarten, watch Shatter the Swarm. You want to become an adolescent, go take the get off the plantation, now become a warrior scholar, now become a leader, hand out cards. We've created an actual methodical program for your education. And right now, that movement has grown explosively. 500 million people know about us. We have leaders all over the world. I can call up Tennessee, we got Nicholas there. I can call up New Jersey, we have Rose and Eileen there. We can call up New Zealand, right? We have Tony there, right? We didn't have this. We have an infrastructure. We have people. Our people have communities. They don't feel alone. They don't feel like they're the only ones out there fighting, like there's nothing you can do. We've laid down infrastructure, an infrastructure that attacks the NSOE viciously, and we have to do the dirty job. But then we also offer solutions. So those of you, some of you are here, are not only in your communities, are you learning this deep knowledge of how to get out there, hand out cards, mobilize movements? We got on the ballot. We're on the ballot in nearly every state, either as write-in or on the ballot, literally listed. That was a lot of effort, getting electors, getting volunteers. We did all of that with less than, $35,000 we raised. Booby Kennedy raised $20 million, and then he had to go suck Trump's Zionist cock off. Where did all this $20 million go? Give me that 20 million. We'll win the fucking election. Hands down. We will. Probably even we don't even need 20, probably 5 million will win it. Because we know as working people how to take a dollar and stretch it. Not only that, we have bottoms up support. We have people who actually want to win. They're not paid hacks. We have 7 major lawsuits going on. Nicholas and I have to finish one up tonight and submit it at 4 p.m. in Tennessee. We work as a team. We have people we can count on. I can call Nicholas at 2 a.m. He'll pick up the phone, or he can call me and we'll get shit done. That's a movement. And it's taken a long effort to develop that movement. And every week we do multiple videos, we do our orientations, but we are here to win. And that winning is one by one by one, finding high quality people who want to not just be awoken, but want to get out of bed and do the work. Simple work, hand out the cards, get people to the movement, educate them, educate them, educate them, period. The future is offline. The future is not online. The future is offline. And we make that real. It's not just theory. It's not just a slogan. Booby Kennedy will borrow this slogan. He's probably got some people listening, and he'll say it tomorrow just to raise some money, okay? But when you really think about all of this, these people are in it for power, profit, control, amassing as much wealth as possible, and they don't give a fuck about you. You really have to get this through your head. You are like a flea on a flea's ass to them. And once you get that in your head, you will stop having any type of celebrity worship. You will cut the cord and you'll get off the plantation, and you will dedicate time to building this movement. Whatever time you have, a little bit, a lot. One is handing out the cards. One is going through the course. The other is we've also made it accessible now for people to also participate in delivering solutions. Some of you have gone through the course, or you're going through the course, and then we have a whole solution set. We actually have platforms, solution platforms. As many of you know, I like building platforms. What are platforms? Platforms are an integration of systems, technologies, people, software, education. So our movement has platforms, okay? So one of those platforms is the following. We actually have food. Ultimately, if you want to increase lifespan, you got to look at where your food is coming from, where we have an actual technology, a platform, processes, SOP, a global certification that takes a systems approach for determining what is clean food. And it's to take it, and again, we built this bottoms up. So all of you, wherever you are in whatever part of the world, whatever local, you can become someone who helps bring clean, healthy food to your communities. We've built the standard, and we're doing it in different industries. We're working with one of our warrior scholars up in Canada. We had a discussion with him. We're going to work with him to define a clean raw standard for beef. So farmers can go direct to consumers. He was telling me something interesting. If you're buying, let's say, meat at $30 a pound in the store, the farmer is only getting 13% of that. That means the meat is actually costing, the meat is only about $3 a pound, okay? $3.90 a pound. But by the time it goes through all these middlemen, we as consumers are paying $30 a pound. So imagine if the farmer could go direct, still make maybe double his $3.90. He's making, let's say, $6. And we get it for $10. Everyone's still making money. So our clean standard in all different areas is helping define what real food. Again, this is a solution. All of you can deliver it. While we attack the swarm, we have a way of mobilizing local entrepreneurs who are making good, clean food and giving them that seal. The other is we have Cytosolve, another powerful technology platform. If you want to say, hey, I want to create a new medicine that solves, I don't know, Lyme disease. Well, we have that technology. We have a technology, a platform that helps us look at nature and develop new medicines. Independent of big pharma. Very powerful technology. And then there's a number of people on this call, nurses and others, and people are just interested who want to help other people take care of their health. So we've created the Systems Health Education Program. This area of health education is going to become about a $35 billion industry. And that too is being hijacked by the swarm. Well, the solution we have, you go through this educational program, it'll teach you an integration of Eastern and Western system, Eastern medicine, Western science. It'll educate you on how to help others figure out what is the right lifestyle for them, what's the right food, what's the right exercises. So it's not one size fits all. You see, so we have tangible solutions that you could start delivering right now. So I wanted to share that we do, spend a lot of time bashing these people, and that's a dirty job we have to do, like the garbage man. It's a necessary job. but we also have solutions. And all of you can work in a multi-dimensional way. Nicholas Lupo started here. He went through the course. He studied the books. He started collecting signatures. He got arrested for illegally collecting signatures. Now he's helping us file a federal lawsuit. Nicholas represented himself in federal court. He probably now has more experience than 90% of lawyers. Most lawyers don't even ever present a federal court case. We're teaching our people how to represent themselves in federal court. And as long as we keep fighting, we win, because every time we go after them, they're going to fumble the ball. And we uncover new areas. That's what happened in 2020, as I've mentioned. So the goal is, do you want to fight? Do you want to learn how to fight? Or do you want to whine and be awoke but lie in bed all day? If you want to wake up and you want to get out of bed and you want to fight and you want to learn how to fight in the most efficient way, by fighting, we win. We will show you how to do that in a very profound way, not in a dilettante way. So that's what this movement's about. But, you know, as I was talking about this real estate thing, please, for God's sakes, understand, Jared Kushner, Ivanka Trump, Donald fucking Trump, Kamala Harris, they don't give a fuck about you. If you go watch how these people live, and I've been around them, I've been in these circles, they live a life that is far different than you can ever imagine. They have no connection to you. You are a commodity to be used and exploited, to be manipulated, period. So we only have ourselves, and you have to save yourself. Get out there and collect the cards, take advantage of this, and grow this movement. If not for everyone else, for yourself. Save yourself. That's what this is about. So I want to welcome everyone. I think, Crystal, if we've introduced everyone, let's take questions, unless there are people here who are new, who haven't had a chance to introduce themselves. But we have about 40 days, less than 40 days, I'm sorry. There's what, 21 days, just 25 days left in the US elections. So hand out those cards, get them out there. By the way, our polling numbers done by Palo Lagos and Suffolk University are the same as Jill Stein. The numbers just came out, okay? And we don't have anywhere near the money as a Green Party. Can you imagine that? We have the same polling numbers as Jill fucking Stein. And how many millions has she spent? Not bad for a non-party candidate who's running for the first time. Because we have people actually go do this. All of their people are paid volunteers. Our people aren't. We're doing it for the right reason. We all work for a living. Let's take questions. Go ahead, Beth. Beth from Missouri.
Hi, Dr. Shiva. I was wondering about after the elections, how we have the health educator, if we could do that for animals.
Yeah, to help, yeah, definitely. That's an interesting idea. So the techniques, first of all, everything is a system. So there's a whole body of knowledge. You can apply this also to animals, Beth, but we can do that.
Wonderful.
Good idea. Yep. Thank you. Beth just went through our Systems Health Educator program. What we've done with the Systems Health Educator program, just to let you know, we're literally creating a new breed, and I got to put it in quotes so we don't get in trouble, a new breed of quote unquote doctors. Hippocrates said, he who is not his own doctor is a fool. How do you learn how to take care of this body? Well, the body is a system. It's an engineering system. It has 9 principles which govern this system as well as any other system. We've uncovered those. And I've interrelated those to the ancient systems of traditional medicine. And that has created the Systems Health program. So those of you who are looking for career change, and you say, well, I really like Truth Freedom Health. I want to, I got to figure out a way to sustainably survive and help people. That's what Systems Health education is. Again, the health coaching market is going to be a $35 billion industry, but it's all being run, those health by the establishment, the traditional, conventional medical companies and pharma. They know people are breaking away and moving to alternative medicine. So they're actually infiltrating alternative medicine itself. Any other questions? Omar Weiss. Go ahead, Omar, and then we'll go to New York. Go ahead, Omar.
Can you hear me, Dr. Shiva?
Yeah.
Hey, I just wanted to follow up. Last week, we talked about I asked you about the breaking the contract of the U.S. and you gave a response to all of that and what that actually meant. And I wasn't able to answer for some reason. I wasn't. You couldn't hear me, but yes, your response answered my questions about that. But earlier on this call, there were some folks giving ideas on how they're handing out cards, and they shared that video with the podcaster I believe from Kentucky, who had the dog and it pooped and he found a bag and had your card in there. But I wanted to give my insight, and that was really cool. But I wanted to give my insight and what I've been doing here in Texas. I take advantage of my situation with my job. I travel all over Texas. In fact, I just got back from Ohio on a project that I had to visit out there. And doing that, I took cards with me and handed them out everywhere I go. So I'm kind of moving. I'm mobile and pushing these cards. And then one thing I do is I go to gas stations and I slip them in those credit card slots where people and they have to pull the card out, you know. And so that's what I'm doing too at the same time. So, and then I go to the grocery store, I take a stack with me and I put them in the racks everywhere, you know, and people see me and they're like, hey, what is that? Well, yeah, this is Dr. Shiva, man. Do you know he's on the ballot? Oh, no, I didn't even know. Well, what's going on? You know? And so I'm doing it everywhere, anywhere.
Well, Omar, what's really cool about those cards are they're mobile, right? It's like a guerrilla weapon. You can use them. People are going to come up with very, very clever ways of doing it. I think I mentioned Sonia was handing them out, and I think someone stopped her and she said, "Oh, these are coupons to get off the plantation." So you'll come up with your own. People are infinitely creative. So I think the goal of this is, and by the way, the leaders throughout, like if you talk to Ryan, Omar, he'll tell you based on where you're handing out the cards, how many people are actually visiting the site. We have metrics now, and we can tell you how many people are becoming members, and then we can feed those people back to you so you can contact them. These cards are a way to meet new people and build local communities, because when they go to the Shadow the Swarm page, we're giving that information back to you guys. You say?
Yeah. And also, Dr. Shiva, I am one of the Texas electors.
Oh, okay, great.
So, yeah, I'm working with Ryan Shea as well.
Yeah. So to Omar's point, what's occurred out of us running for president is we have people like Omar. We have close to 30 different electors. We had to get every state. We had to get electors. So it forced us to build our organizational structure. You see? And it's just going to keep growing. So, but what we've also realized is that we focus on quality. The quality of people want to learn, who get it, and you can build a strong foundation. So we're very, very pleased with the developments in 2024 because we built a great group of people, and the quality of people we have are getting more and more strong. So when they educate other people, it's not reliant on just me. They can locally now help educate other people. Let's go over to anyone else. Fadi, go ahead. Question?
Hi, Dr. Shiva. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. And I just have a couple of points that I wanted to mention. I'm so happy that you mentioned Israel's land being so valuable. That land is priceless, and there is 2.5 metric tons or million metric
No,
tons.
200 trillion cubic feet of natural gas.
That's right.
5 trillion.
That's right. And there's so much gas right off the coast that people would love to have access to profit from. And I think you really encapsulated how these people look at the rest of us, that they see us as fleas. Use that analogy. That's a great illustration on your part. I really love your thoughts and your message, even on today's program. I also want to mention, I speak to people about Jill Stein, and when they mention Jill Stein, I'm mentioning you. I'm not mentioning anybody else. But when they mention Jill Stein, they also mention they don't trust her. They don't trust her. That was just another point. Another point is when I'm attending, this is really what I wanted to tell you. And I attended my second consecutive Palestine protest in New York. this past Tuesday or Monday, and I met some great people. I gave your card out. I told people about you, and that was great. What I also would like, but the previous protest, the protest before that, I had my Shiva banner, our Shiva banner, going, and I didn't know the camera behind me or the camera in my area was from the Associated Press. That was a live viewing, and 16,000 people saw that banner at that moment. And I wanted to mention this to you the previous week, but maybe for time's sake, I wasn't selected. But I want to say that 16,000 people that were viewed that banner in that moment live while I had it up in Midtown New York. And so people know about you. People know about you for certain. And it's just going to continue to grow. I only say great things about you. The cards. The cards are thoughtful. The cards are very thoughtful. I'm very pleased about the layout of the cards. As thoughtful as they are, I ask that if anybody is going to use those cards to be thoughtful in how they use them. I don't only hand out cards, but I place them throughout the city in strategic locations. Why would I give a card out to one person where I can put a card up and maybe 10 people can be convinced that or at least become curious as to view that card and and go to the website, which is
How many
full of
cards have you put out so far, Fuddy?
there's a lot.
Yeah,
There's
how
a
many?
lot of so well, I gave out 2 boxes already, and now I'm up to my third box. I would have put out more, but there was a pack of
No,
there
no,
was
no, don't worry. I want to give other people. No, I was just curious if you're tracking how many you put out, and so you're sort of. Do you have any idea or no?
so I put out at least 2 boxes, and now I'm on my third box.
Okay.
I'm on my third box.
All right.
So um
All right,
there
fun.
well just I would just ask that people be more thoughtful and place them in strategic locations so that more people.
Oops. Yeah, so Fadi, we got that. Let's go to the next person. Let's go to Joanne Fester. Fester. Go ahead, Joanne.
Feaster. Joanne Feaster,
Go
thank
ahead,
you.
Joanne.
Hi, Dr. Shiva.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful opportunity this past weekend to attend a fundraiser for children of Gaza. And I took that opportunity to bring cards to the event and meet with that community, the Muslim community. And in that meeting, in that event, I got to meet a group of people who are with Abandon Harris. So people who are not happy with Harris, and they're not happy with Jill Stein either. So it was really interesting to meet them and share with them about our movement. I did invite them to this meeting here tonight as well. I thought I saw one person here, but
Oh, really? Who are they? Should we?
I don't know.
So if anyone here,
here,
if
yeah.
anyone,
See,
if anyone's here who knows,
Hamza, but I'm not sure. Hamza, but
Yeah,
one of the
Hamza,
volunteers, one of the
Hamza's
volunteers
something
went
more.
with me. Alan, he's not here tonight, but we did a great job just putting cards out in the parking lot and then going into the event. And everyone was warm and welcoming, and it was just very exciting to be there and to share. The other group that was there was the Democratic Socialist Organization, so we shared cards with them. And anyway, it was very exciting, and I was glad to be able to do that.
Well, Joanne, what's interesting is if you look over the last 40 years in the quote unquote anti-Zionist movement, and this is why political theory matters, because when events take place, there will be different trends, political trends. And it's like a marketplace of trends, and people are actually, and the reality is if you have an open marketplace and you can actually fight your ideas out, the best will rise to the top, okay? So we are in many ways fighting not only against the establishment, but as activism emerges, people will come and have all these ideas about how you be an activist, right? Some of them will have these ideas, well, you know, you got to build coalitions with people. Okay. This is a theory. Okay. Oh, you shouldn't be bashing people who are saying good things. Ooh, you're going to splinter the movement. That's another theory. Okay. These are theories. And so on. Okay. So if you look at the anti-Zionist movement over the last 40 years, since 1984, since I've been involved in this, every time something has ever occurred in Gaza or Palestine, like in 1984, they literally sent in tanks and they mowed over people in Sabra and Shatila. Some of you may remember this. In the mid-80s, a guy called Ariel Sharon. Massive protest took place, people, and the slogan, as I mentioned, was ceasefire now, back then, 40 years ago. And it's really a dumb fucking slogan, but it's typically promoted by two sets of people, either ignorant people who haven't studied political theory or very conscious people who are owned by Zionists, who promote that slogan as a way to distract people from the real issue, which is ending the occupation of the United States from Zionism. You see, that's a much more profound slogan. End the occupation of America from Zionism. That is a very different slogan than sitting here as Americans and talking about ceasefire now, 10,000 miles away, because you can't really affect that, but you can affect ending the occupation here. So I talk about that because Jill Stein, she's a liberal fucking Zionist. Some people have argued she'll attack Harris, but she won't equivalently attack Trump, if you've noticed. Okay? So you'll see a lot of people who will attack Harris or Biden, but they won't attack Trump. Okay? You have to hit both of them with equal charge because they're both part of this. So there's one, if you look at it, whether it's Harris or Trump, these people are literally actors auditioning. They're auditioning in a theatrical play. And the elites here, they don't really give a fuck about Trump or Harris. They're just going to choose whoever at the last minute. Notice how close these elections are, 49% to 48%. Really? They're that close? Come on. And that's why they'll say Pennsylvania is a swing state. So every Tom, Dick, and Harry is now going to Pennsylvania. So among these two wings, the establishment is watching who can manipulate people the best. Who is the best bullshitter? Who can galvanize people to think that one of those people is actually fighting for them? And then, but they're both owned. Then that person is who will get to be president, whoever can manipulate people the best. But in the Gaza movement, there are some good emerging trends where people are watching our stuff, Joanne, and they're moving to a trend like, wait a minute, there's something much more fundamental going on. And that's why our movement stands as an anchor, as a North Star for those people as they come.
Yes, Dr. Shiva.
Yeah.
And with this group as well, they were asking me if you were on the ballot in Nevada, and I wasn't sure about that, but they were needing representation there or someone for Nevada. So I was calling around to see what the situation was for Nevada. But
so Nevada, I think is Crystal there are 3 or 4 states where you can't even write in a candidate. I think Hawaii is one of them. Maybe it's Nevada, but
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Nevada is one of them where you can't write in even a candidate. It's a pretty fascist state.
Wow.
In some sense, yeah.
Just one other thing, the volunteer that went with me, Alan Valor, he is involved in the film industry here in Arizona, and he is very interested in speaking with you about putting together a documentary. He has cinematographers, other folks.
Let's do that.
Could I have him email you directly?
Yeah, have him email. Why don't you email him and
Yes.
CC me, and we'll connect up.
Yeah, great. It was great to have another volunteer with me. It's usually just me
Yeah.
and Mary Ann, but it's
Yeah.
like we've got more volunteers, and they're great.
Yeah, and Joanne and Marianne, as I mentioned last week, they flew down to Cambridge here. They went through our systems health education program, but they met by Marianne's very, very hard work in trying to find other electors. So we're networking, we're building local teams. So thanks, Joanne. Thanks for sharing that. That's great
Could I
work.
just say one last
Yeah.
thing though? So these persons I met at this event, I gave them links personally through my cell phone to this meeting and also the Shatter video. But also I'm wondering when people are handing out cards, I can just have people open up their phones and just go right to the QR code. And that's all. I
Yeah,
have to say. Thank
you can just take the card
Yes.
and snap it and go right there.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you.
Let's go to Judith in Canada, then Barbara, and then Matt Morovich.
Hello, Dr. Shiva.
Hi, Judith. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Well, talking about land grabbing, so there's these events that are happening. Well, it's climate, like in North Carolina and Florida, the hurricanes and all that. And some people say that it might be a geoengineering, and like how it destroys everything, like it happened in Lahaina, where other people say it's just like a criminal fire. And like it happens in Canada too, where there was a lot of fires that happened last year. Mostly we heard about it. We heard about it last year. And well, what I was thinking is, well, that's it, man. They just want to grab the land and exploit the minerals or whatever there is there, or make a new 10-minute city and have so like, yeah, Gaza, it's horrible what they're doing there, and it's horrible they're doing it everywhere, but they've been doing it all the time and they never stopped. And yeah, so like I wanted to see what you think about that.
Well, I think, Joanne, if you think about it this way, in a very, again, keep dumbing it down to the simple piece, the way that these people make money is they do insider trading, and the goal is to buy stuff low and sell high, as low as possible, right? So if you create a crisis like fires, right, quote unquote, climate change, pandemics, gangs, violence, crime, and the extreme of it is you just go take people's land, right? That's like you're getting it for free. The goal has always been to create conditions where you forcibly drive down the price of something. I mentioned this earlier this morning, a couple of months ago. In New York, some of you may know when people thought New York was going to be burning. Remember with a lot of these Black Lives Matter protests. Some of you may remember this if you lived in New York, right? And there were many people selling their they owned property for 25 years. They paid a lot for it. And they were concerned, oh my God, and property prices came down a little bit. And many people sold their very nice properties for nothing, and they moved somewhere else because they were convinced things are going to crash. Well, they didn't. They went up by 30%. So the swarm, the establishment knows how to take valuable property and actually make it non-valuable. Like, you ever go to neighborhoods, like you look 40 years ago, there was crime and drugs, and overnight now it's all the elites are living there, Do you know what I'm saying? We have a place in Boston called the South End. When I first came to Boston, it was like known as a hellhole, crime. But then developers went in there and they bought it for, a song, you say? And so they can inject crime into places. They can inject a crisis into a situation.
Mm-hmm.
So the way these people think about everything is buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high. And so what you're sharing, Judith, is that crises are very, very valuable. So imagine you when you study control systems, you're the one who creates the crises. Man, you got a huge opportunity. I'm going to create the crisis. I do insider trading. I know the stock's going to crash or this is going to crash. So you short the stock, you buy it on the way down, and then you sell it as it goes up. You say they make it on both ends.
So it's not excluded the possibility that it may be like geoengineering that creates the crisis, the climate crisis.
I'm saying that there are infinite ways, Judith, that they will do whatever they need to do. if
Right.
they could use geoengineering, if they could create crises on UFOs, it doesn't matter. They don't care about any one of these particular things. It is just a vehicle to buy low, sell high. Keep it that simple. Buy low, sell high. That's the goal.
Mhm.
So if you can manipulate the inputs, like a pandemic is coming, right?
Yeah.
Buy low, sell high,
Mhm.
right? So they could probably do geoengineering in certain areas. All sorts of stuff. I'm just saying, I think sometimes people get stuck. Oh my God, it's the UFOs. Or yeah, Ken Fielding said, yeah, South End was a combat zone. Ken's watching the video. When I first came to MIT, the South End was like Times Square in the 1970s. There were prostitutes everywhere. It was crime. And now it's one of the most valuable properties. So you can literally move criminals into an area, bring the property down for 20 years, buy it all up, you see?
Mhm.
And what I'm trying to say, Judith, they have infinite ways of doing this. Infinite ways.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I get it. Thank
Yep. So if you think about it from a systems point of view, there's an input, there's their output. What is their goal? As we teach in system science, their goal is to maximize profit. Buy low, sell high. So what are the inputs you can do? You have infinite source of inputs. Crises is one, right? All these infinite things that they can do.
you. Yeah. And us, what can we do?
Well, we're the disturbance to them. And the thing that we can do is, number one, recognize that there's 8 billion of us. Number two, that they are very well organized and they understand the system's dynamics. I can't overemphasize this. So by understanding this dynamic itself, we're raising our consciousness. Number three, start educating other people.
Yep.
There is no other way. There's no shortcut.
Okay.
Yep. Thanks, Judith. Let's go to Matt Morovich.
Yeah, hi, Dr. Shiva. Really nice to be talking to you tonight.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good. You're in Wisconsin, right, Matt? Were you one of our electors?
I was not. I think I was asked to, but I wasn't involved enough.
Because our lawsuit now is moving to the appellate court. So they threw our electors off the ballot.
Mhm.
It was Trump who did that. Trump's
It
people.
was Trump in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I watched what was it, the injunction, or when you talked to the people in Madison there at the Capitol?
Madison.
I can't believe.
Oh, yes. At the Wisconsin Election Commission.
I
Yeah.
can't believe these guys, how just sub intelligence going on up there. Like,
Well, they were blown away by what we did. If you notice, they didn't even want any debate. Silence.
silence,
They
exactly.
spent 30 minutes talking about a staple for Cornell West, that doofus. But we're escalating this to the appellate court, and it'll eventually go to the Supreme Court. The good thing is Frank Marshall and his wife are fighting there, and so we're going to keep.
Speech is great. You guys set him up to sound just crystal clear, and he was very successful for the movement. You guys did so well with Frank. Very proud of him.
Yeah, I mean, our legal theory is educating people. When you run for president, I'm not running for any office in Wisconsin, and that's what they don't get. I mean, that's the law.
They were befuddled. Frank he set them off. They didn't know what to say.
Yeah, so they don't have jurisdiction. So it's going to be this evening. We have to do the same thing we have a opposition to motion to dismiss. We're finishing up in Tennessee.
Excellent. Yeah, then you can put some more energy over here in Wisconsin. Well, I'm going to be going into a slower season come December, so I hope to get back in touch with Frank and do more work within the movement.
Well, get his cards and start handing them out.
Yeah, I got a whole box of them. I handed out half of it. I got the other half just sitting there. So I gotta get on that. I've been real busy, and my business is just taking off.
And what do you do?
So Judith, she took my question, but I wanted to go more into the point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm an arborist. Yeah, I'm an arborist.
Oh, that's right. I remember.
Yeah,
now I remember. Yep.
I enjoyed your video. You had your guys out there doing work with all machines. It really was, it really was a show.
Yep. But go ahead. What's your question?
So it's been going. Yeah. So my question was, I wanted to ask you what all the kids ask me is, are there land grabs going on in the United States? And Judith asked that, and then you crystallize that, say it's all about buying low, selling high. So here's some questions here. Wouldn't it be crazy if the largest lithium mining company in the world, 3 days before the flood began, submitted the permits for their mine right outside Asheville, North Carolina? Wouldn't it be crazy if the mining company was just given $250 million in grants to help with construction of their mine? Wouldn't it be crazy if less than a month before the flood started, BlackRock acquired 2.2 million shares of stock in the mining company? Wouldn't it be crazy if the residents that opposed the mine had their homes and property destroyed?
Yeah, I mean, the infinite ways that these people can manipulate stuff is quite extraordinary. You reminded me of something I just forgot, but it'll come back to me. But the level of manipulation, Matt, that people can do to buy things high and sell low is quite extraordinary, you know, because these guys have access to databases, data, information, the ability to use AI to aggregate it together.
Data models, absolutely. Yeah,
to do mathematical models, to do predictive modeling. It's quite extraordinary. They have, 20 PhDs doing this at BlackRock, right? So they know where the opportunities are because they mine the data, they know where to target, and they know specifically what to do, right? And this is why the social media companies are feeding all that data through Palantir to them. So Elon Musk is a fucking dirtbag. All of Twitter is being used to mine data.
Well,
what's that?
What really seals the deal with me, I really get sick every time I see his ads for investing in lithium mining. That just drives me up the wall. That's just, people can't see that and see, oh geez, like, where's this going to take us? Because I mean, most people have already seen the videos of what those lithium mines look like in Africa right now.
Well, if you look at the events that took place in Afghanistan, I did a video on this. If you remember, Afghanistan now has the most amount of lithium mines in the world. Okay. And the amount of, also there's a triangle between, I think, Bolivia, Ecuador. There's called it the South American Triangle of lithium mines. And if you can look at all in those areas, all the Zionists are being put in place. The leaders, right?
Yeah. I mean, how about Mexico's new president, huh? Isn't she great?
Yep. But what's interesting is the Taliban. So the elites, the swarm always puts in dictators into power.
Mm-hmm.
So in, prior to 1917, 18, even you can see that women in Afghanistan had the right to vote. You'll see pictures of women wearing modern clothes, even more modern than
that point that when I first heard that from you, I think it was you. You said women in Afghanistan had the right to vote before American
women.
Like, that should turn people's understanding of history on its head. I mean,
yeah. So they make it seem like, oh, these people are backward. They're living in the Stone Ages. Well, American women, relative to that, were put into the Stone Ages. They couldn't even vote. Think about that. Afghan women had the right to vote before American women for nearly 50 to 100 years. Quite extraordinary. So the United States sees Afghanistan, and the British imperialists saw Afghanistan as a strategic value. They're the ones who put the fucking Taliban into power. They set back Afghanistan, 500 years. And then more recently, just 5 years ago, the Afghan women were pleading to Trump and then to Biden, please help us. And women were taking to the streets. There were women military commanders, women military commandos with RPGs fighting the Taliban. Think about what I'm talking about. These are truly liberated women fighting for their country. Women, military gear, guerrilla fighters. They were begging the United States for help. Did we help them? No. We returned all the weapons to the Taliban. That wasn't done by accident by Trump and Biden. That was orchestrated because we need dictatorial regimes, because you can use the Taliban like the Bush administration did for heroin and opium. Now you use them because they found so much fucking rare earth metals there.
What is that? John Perkins' work, right? Destabilizing the country.
Yeah. They don't want to give that. They don't want to give that material in a democratic situation to the people, because then Afghan people are going to become wealthy. It has to be controlled. Land grab, right? It's all about taking other people's land and then putting a veneer of civility around it, right?
Yeah, the veneer. Absolutely.
So that's what we in America need to really reflect upon. What does it mean to be fucking American? It's a very,
Yes.
very deep question. Do we want to rip off? Do we want to finally shed all that, history of fucking genocide? And because nothing has fundamentally changed. If we allow to see what's going on in Gaza, we allow all this shit, how are we any different?
Well, Shiva,
Yeah.
one quick thing is that I always thought that our foreign policy as America was to keep the Middle East constantly destabilized so that basically the Muslims could never like organize and try to conquer the world, and take over the world so that Allah will return. So by putting Israel there, it just constantly made this conflict where they could never actually get beyond fighting Israel, and that would keep America safe because then they're attacking Israel and not America. What do you think about that?
Well, if you actually look at it, you have to look at it from a class perspective, okay? Most of those Arab leaders are Zionists. Saudi Arabia are Zionists. UAE are Zionists. You don't have to be, when you talk about Islam per se, right? In the Middle East, Saudi Arabia doesn't give a fuck about the Arabs. They're like this with Israel, right? UAE is like this with Israel. Qatar is like that. Kuwait is like that. So it's not about, it's fundamentally what it's come down to is in Saudi Arabia, as an Arab nation itself needs stability internally. They're afraid their own people are going to overthrow them. They're constantly under this. So they need US weaponry to protect them from their own people. That's what it's really about, okay? It's not about outside forces. Kuwait, if you've been to some of these countries, the level of wealth difference is massive, okay? It's insane. So to the extent you people bring up Islam, most of these people, by and large, except for the US actually stokes, US and Israel actually love the fundamental elements. They love fundamental Islam. Fundamental Islam and Zionism go hand to hand, just like Zionism and Nazism go hand to hand. Because when you have the fundamental elements, you can create the dialectic between pro and anti. If you even look within Israel, the actual solution is a one-state solution, a secular state, non-theocratic, but they don't want to do that. And the reason they have these conflicts taking place, because as long as you have the conflicts coming together, the average, just what? 2 months ago, there were close to 800,000 people protesting against Netanyahu in Israel. Right before October 7th, there were 500,000 people on the streets against him. There are a significant section of Jews who are anti-Zionism in Israel. They want a secular state. Fine, keep your religion whatever the hell you want to practice, but we want a secular state. So they don't want a secular state where working people organize regardless of their religious background. So they have to make it religion. So don't get lost in that. The fundamental Islam is fundamental Islam is a necessity to the existence of Zionism. Does that make sense? Like in India, the fundamental Hindus love the fundamental Islamic people. The fundamental Christians, the Christian Zionists, love fundamental Islam because they can keep the dialectic going.
Right.
So these things are fueled.
Yeah. And I think, part of it's just a failing of mankind. And for some reason, we just love to fight. I don't know, are we being poisoned in our food? Why do we?
Actually, that's not true. That's not,
well,
actually, the reality is, for 2,000 years, there was absolute peace in the Indus Valley civilizations, for example. There's been history upon history of people actually living in peace. So the reality is, in order to do land grabbing, you have to go create friction among people. Think about what British colonialism did in Africa. there were clear tribal regions, and they were very clearly marked. So if the tribal leaders from time to time would fight against each other because someone would try to fuck with their boundaries. But by and large, they had very clear boundaries. When the British went into Africa, they randomly just created nation states. They said, oh, this is Zimbabwe, this is Mozambique, and they crossed into like 20 different tribal areas. So they started these fights. So they created people fighting, and then they went to each warmonger. They said, look, we'll help you fight that guy. And this side, they said, we'll help you fight that guy. They did this all over India. So
in a systems perspective, what is which part of that is coming in to the country, creating it, is the input, and then what is the
right. So they created a disturbance, right?
disturbance?
And the goal of the disturbance, their conversion process, was you take a peaceful condition and you want to destabilize it, right? That's the conversion, right? So you're inputting stuff into the system. So you want to create instabilities. When you create instabilities, it's like therapists or lawyers. Lawyers cannot survive it unless people are arguing against each other. You know, the last 20 years, the number of therapists in the United States have gone up by like 40,000. Yet the divorce continues to grow, right? It's not like these people are helping anyone. So the model is you input instabilities, you create crises, and then you come in as a white knight on the horse saying, I'm going to resolve it. And the way you resolve it is you say, look, give me some money, give me some land, right? And that's what, and then you slice up everything and you eventually own everything, right? Think about the effort you could do in just in your own neighborhood, starting fights among people, and then you act like you're the peacemaker and you strike deals with everyone. So that's literally what they did. Like monkeys, you know, monkeys go start fights here, fights there, and then everyone's fighting among each other, and then you go and quote unquote resolve it, but you're actually owning land, profit through this resolution process, because you're the ones who you actually did incendiary comments. You go in, like I'll tell you, I think I mentioned this, you go into ancient cultures where people are living side by side, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and they all live very respectably. But if a Christian suddenly went to a Muslim and said, you smell, your religion sucks, you can literally create religious war overnight. So that's what British would do. They would go in and say absolutely, it's like throwing a Molotov cocktail, because these people were living in a very respectable way, and you come in and you just start shit.
Well, you come from the land of when people started shit and came through and divided you guys up, you know, beautiful history of your country, you know, and what it is.
Yeah, so India was a place where the British effectively executed divide and rule, but they did it in Africa, right? Even in the United States, when the settlers first came, do you know there was a policy of making sure the white settlers hated the Native Americans? There's some very good essays written on this. And the Native Americans hated the black slaves. So they had them all three fighting among each other. So there's an active systems policy of keeping the plebes fighting among each other, you say? And
I really appreciate you breaking that down for us, and speaking with my friend here who just saw the swarm video. I said, hey, you want to talk to Dr. Shiva tonight? And we're having this amazing conversation. Can you tell him, please, before you get off to our next person, Carol here has been waiting so patiently. God bless you, Carol. Can you tell him one quick story about Trump to let him know what kind of person Trump is before I give the floor to someone?
Well, you have to understand, right? The reality of Trump is everyone, you could theoretically hang out with any of these people, like whatever. You meet them in a bar, you hang out with them, right? Quote unquote, in a friend, right? Everyone has some sense of hanging out, but that's not the issue here. Trump, at a very fundamental level, his intention, he came from, I mean, he was given all his wealth. He actually frittered away most of his wealth, if you think about it, relative to what he was given and where he should be. But he actually wanted to be in Hollywood, right? He wanted to be a producer. He wanted to be an actor, but he was too lazy to actually work at the craft. Most of his life journey was actually as an unsuccessful businessman. And he even, because of so much PR that was behind him, he was even able to resurrect himself as some businessman when he's not a businessman. at all. He's a fake businessman. And I know this at a very intimate level because a very close friend of mine was his advisor for 8 years, over 8 times. Trump hired him, fired him, hired him, fired him, hired him, fired him. Okay. The last time he hired him was when he had just gone bankrupt with Atlantic City. And you know who came to save him was Wilbur Ross, who became his Secretary of Commerce. Wilbur Ross became a Secretary of Commerce, and Wilbur Ross was part of the head of the Rothschild Debt Equity Group. And what Wilbur Ross describes was in Trump, they saw a con man that they could use as an asset for future. So they saved him, but they struck a deal. They put him on the path to become president. You don't get to become president of the United States by running for office. Are you fucking serious? You're put on a path. You're an asset. So Trump was put on that path. And if you look at his entire trajectory, in 2016, he won because he was selected. In fact, one could argue the election was stolen from Hillary, and there was evidence of that. But Hillary was told to shut the fuck up. In 2020, they gave the election to Biden. But in my interactions with Trump, which were personal, multiple occasions, the first time was a 2-hour meeting. He invited me to Mar-a-Lago. I didn't want to go because he used all my shit to raise $500 million for the election on election fraud. But then he endorsed a guy in Massachusetts who stole the election from me. And when I told him that, he goes, well, I had to endorse him. All of his endorsements is pay to play. Carrie Lake had to give him $125K. If you want his endorsement, you just pay him. He's running a fucking business. He doesn't give a fuck about any of this. He's a consummate actor. And when Michelle and I met with him, it was in a small room, and and he looked like an out-of-work actor in the back room after you take off all your makeup. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand, don't give these people a lot of credit. The credit that they have is there's a massive machine behind them. It's not that they're self-made people in any way whatsoever.
Well,
if you went bankrupt as many times as he did, you'd be in the fucking street, man.
Yeah, I wonder how much it has to be like Trump might be the most famous human being alive right now. I don't know. What, you think that's a factor?
I don't know what that means. What I'm trying to say is popularity, celebrityhood is not something you earn. You are afforded it.
Yeah.
If you are an actual threat to the establishment, in the modern world, they attempt to make you invisible. Before they would character assassinate, and before that, they would just execute you. That entire shit in Butler, Pennsylvania was a fucking staged bullshit. And the problem was everyone figured it out, so they had to do a second assassination. And then they had to bring this doofus Elon Musk there. The guy, Elon Musk, can you tell me one thing he's actually invented? Can anyone here name anything he's actually created?
Like 4 kids with 3 different women?
Yeah, besides that nonsense, and then talking about family and all this shit, right? Can someone name something he's actually created? You can't. It's all hype. How does a guy put all those satellites up in space without being the government? He is put in place. He's a CIA asset, just like fucking fucker Carlson, just like Trump, just like Booby Kennedy, all these people. They just have better PR to manipulate people. The fact anyone who
they
gets
normalize them with Rogan. Oh, we're friends. We're smoking together. They normalize.
Go look at Rogan's feed. He never mentioned Zionism. Nothing.
Eddie Bravo doesn't even want to be his friend no more because he won't talk to you.
Yep. So you got to understand that the problem that occurred to these people was in 2020, 2021, we reached about 500 million people with all those videos, and they said, fuck, this guy got out there.
He's a menace.
So that's why they have to go to the other extreme and shadow ban the fuck out of us. But that's okay. It's forcing us to go offline. It's forcing us to be innovative.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shiva. And
Yeah, get involved.
I will. I really do. I want to get involved. I want to understand more how I'm getting, taken advantage of and everything. I want, you know what I mean? So
I'm gonna help Chris here. We're gonna get on the Warrior Scholar pathway.
Yeah, and go through the get off the plantation, go through
Yeah.
that. And you have good people there in Wisconsin. I mean, Frank runs, I think, the #1 pizza shop there, all organic, really good pizza, hardworking guy, right? Frank single-handedly with a couple of other people helped us get on the ballot, right? But there's a lot of good people there. And we don't need 1,000 people. We need like 5, 10 really good people who get these concepts, and then you can build a movement.
Yeah.
Good to have you.
awesome. See you.
Yep.
Let's go small.
Hello? You guys there?
Dr. Shiva, you're muted.
Go ahead, Ryan. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, just I always get inspired by the talks, and so I don't know if I can flip my camera around, but I just came out here for like the last 45 minutes, and you can you see the card there?
Yeah, I can see that. That's awesome.
So I just bombarded a couple of lots here, and within the past 30 minutes, probably got out about 200 cards. It's Texas OU weekend here, so I'm going to do my best to get out as many cards as I possibly can. And you hear people. I heard people talking about how you can get involved. It's really that simple. This is like the easiest thing to do. Getting signatures was a little more difficult. Passing out these cards is really simple. Just go do it. 200 cards in probably 30, 45 minutes here. So that's all I wanted to say. And all the learnings in the doing, for me, it's helpful for me to just get out and take the action and take the steps. And I wanted to lead by example here. That's it. Thanks.
That's great, Ryan. Thank you. Yeah, Ryan flew all the way up to Nebraska and helped Crystal collect signatures to get on the ballot. Nicholas came up here, dropped his work, helped us get on the ballot. We had to get 20,000 signatures. We're listed first on the ballot in Massachusetts. So, we're a global movement. We have people in the Netherlands making phone calls to California to find electors. Think about what we're doing. It's quite extraordinary. So all of you recognize that one of the gifts you have is you get a global community with this of people. You get to meet extraordinary people that typically you would not have access to meet. And very smart, very deep thinking people. Thanks, Ryan. So let's, I think Carol, go ahead, Carol.
Hi, Dr. Shiva. Hello, Dr. Shiva. Hello, everybody. I just want to make a comment about property, and you're right. What happened to me down in Florida? It's a comment. I had the engineers come out and look at our street because our drainage was bad. Well, I had all my neighbors come gather together with the engineers to talk to them, and they all got scared whenever I said we need to fix this drainage, because the engineer knew that we had a drainage problem for years, he said. And I said, well, then why didn't you fix it? So the neighbors got worried, and now what they did was, in the back of my home, my property, they built 2 corporate homes in the back there, and then in the front they repaved our road, which was a dead end. We didn't need it done. Now my home, I was in 2 hurricanes down there in Florida, and it started flooding. So I knew they were after me. So I figured, you know what? I had an angel. I swear to God, I had an angel kiss my head. Within 2 days, my house was sold. I knew to sell it. That was my instinct. I'm taking care of myself right now. And I headed to North Carolina, and I got scared. I was passing out some cards that Bonnie gave to me. Then I went to South Carolina. I was told, you don't do this here, but I did it anyhow. And then I saw the police surrounding where I was staying in a hotel. So now I'm here in Pennsylvania where I was born. So I feel like they're following me. So now I don't own a home, but I'm happier because I can get up and just move. I know you're tired, Dr. Shiva, and you got something to do at 4 o'clock today.
Yeah, we got it. We
tonight.
got it. Yeah, Nicholas.
So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. All right, everyone, it's 10:47. So if everyone here is new, first step is go through the Warrior program. If you're in different parts of the world or the country and you haven't met people locally, Crystal and Nicholas, if you can chat directly with them, and if you don't know who is your local leader, they'll introduce you. So, and then I think, Jill, do you have a comment? I think Jill's still looking. We have a few more days, right, Jill, to get electors? Jill Jones?
Yeah, we are in crunch time. So I just want anyone listening, if you have any people in California who can give their word, keep their word, follow through and quickly, we need electors. We need them now.
How many
So
more do
please-
you need, Chris? How many more do you need, Jill?
We need 14 more electors and alternates to file. We have some people in the process, but the more the merrier. We want to make sure we have our goal and we have people
And
who
you
actually
have,
commit.
yeah, and the total was you needed 56 times 2, right? 100 and
54 times 2, 108.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how they got us with California with the alternates, because we had our 54, but we lost them as we had to pair them together to meet that alternate quota.
So everyone listen very carefully. Everyone listening on social media, everyone listen carefully. California, to get on the ballot there, even as a write-in, is seen as an impossible task. Richard Winger was one of the leading ballot scholars. He says no one's ever done that as a write-in even. It's very difficult. There are people have done it. It's very rare. So we need 104 electors. In Massachusetts, we needed, 18? In New Jersey, we needed 14, but you need 104. It's a function of the number.
108.
108. Right. And so we're almost there because we need 28 minus what? You have 90, 86, right? 76 you've gotten.
We've gotten I think we're almost at 40 is what it is. We're almost at 40 with the people in the process of
But
doing
40
it.
times
So that's
2.
80.
80.
Yeah.
Yes. So you
Yep.
need 24 more, right? Sorry.
28.
28 more. So everyone listen very carefully. Go through your Rolodex right now. Who do you know in California, directly or indirectly, that is someone who you know very well that trusts you? And we need you to call them up tonight and tomorrow and get them to be electors. We only need 28 more, right? Or you can get pairs of 14,
That's
so
right.
husband and wife. And we're done. So 14 people. So if you know 14 couples, let's give, Crystal, can you give Jill Jones's email and phone number right now to everyone? So Crystal's going to post it here. So Trey, if you can give just our email there, Shiva for President at shivaforpresident.com on social media. So anyone listening on social media, if you are in California, we need just 28 more electors or 2 pairs of 14 people or a pair of 14 people. And we're on the ballot, which would be historic. That means people can write us in California and our votes will be counted. If we don't do this electoral process, people can write us in and none of it will be counted. So we're very much close to the home stretch and we need everyone. Today's Thursday heading into Friday, but between now and this weekend, either you can send an email to Shiva for President at Shiva for President.com on social media, or Crystal will share directly Jill's email and phone number right here to everyone. But go through everyone's here. I mean, we got about 100 people here. If everyone just looks through your Rolodex, I'm sure you know somebody who is in California. That's what we need. Everyone listening. So if everyone here, if each one of you, if even every 25% of you know somebody, we're done. So please go do that. It's a very tangible way. Every ballot that we get on, it's literally a stab in the establishment's jugular. Okay? So that's what we need. So Crystal, did you send everyone? So Crystal just sent it out, jonesjilla2014@gmail.com. So please email Jill with a contact you know and help her. We just need 28 more people and we're done. This has been a Herculean task. All right, Jill. Thanks for reminding us. Okay, everyone. Become a warrior scholar. Get those cards. Crystal, maybe you can put out the different tutorials we have coming up. We have a symposium that we do on clean food every second Tuesday of the month. Every first Tuesday of the month, we do a symposium on Cytosolve. And then every other Fridays, we do one on systems health. For those of you who want to become systems health educators, these are tangible solutions. All right, everyone. Thank you. Have a good night. Nicholas, I'll call you tomorrow morning, okay? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Shiva.
Who would have ever thought I'd be running for president of the United States of America? I was born a low caste untouchable in India's caste system, a system of aristocracy, oppression, and racism. My name is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. I'm an MIT PhD, a Fulbright scholar, a scientist, engineer, entrepreneur, and inventor. My family and I left India to come to America on my 7th birthday. I grew up in the working class neighborhoods of New Jersey, playing baseball, mowing lawns, painting houses, and coding software. My friends and neighbors are blacks, Italians, Irish, people of all races. As a 14-year-old, I wrote 50,000 lines of software code to create the world's first email system and was awarded the first U.S. copyright for email, recognizing me as its official inventor at a time when copyright was the only way to protect software inventions. I did that long before I ever came to MIT, revealing that big innovations can occur anytime, any place, by anybody. Growing up, I saw politicians dividing us by race and religion in both America and India, to have us fighting each other while they remained safe in their gated communities and in their playgrounds of Hollywood, Martha's Vineyard, and Silicon Valley. I'm a fighter. I fought racism and exposed their imperialist wars, fought for workers, and put my life on the line against global corruption. I never wanted to run for political office. All that changed when I saw working Americans as never before being duped by the establishment and the not-so-obvious establishment. Across left and right, we were being sold out and made to forget why we came to America and why America existed. Lawyers, academics, billionaires, celebrities, and politicians, elites, Clintons, Kennedys, Bidens, Obamas, Bushes, black and white have hijacked America. They printed trillions for their friends. They delivered crumbling infrastructure, corruption, and racism. They've transferred trillions to themselves, dividing black and white, fear-mongering, and fake science. Lockdowns and censorship, dirty air, food, and water, pushing drugs upon us, making us sicker. We've been sold out. One set of rules for them and another for us. We deserve a warrior with a history of courage in putting everything on the line for you, who believes in you, not them, who has created a movement bottoms up for truth, freedom, health. I've exposed their lies at the right time, never waiting until it was popular. I've exposed their false gods who exist to lead you back to them. I've exposed their fake science of lockdowns and masking and provided you solutions to fight them and win and protect your immune system, saving millions. I exposed Fauci, galvanized the Fire Fauci campaign when others remained silent. When they stole our election, we sued the government and Twitter in our historic 2020 federal lawsuit, exposing in bare view the government and big tech censorship infrastructure, the unholy alliance between government and social media companies. Where was Elon and his grifters? They stood by the sidelines and did nothing. They did not use their megaphones to help us when it could have made a big difference. Now our movement grows for truth, freedom, health, independent of all of them. Every day, millions are learning the science of systems, the knowledge the elites do not want you to have, so you may learn how to think, stand up, and fight, independent of the establishment of left and right and their fake heroes. Now it's time for you to join the movement, to win back America, to win back truth, win back freedom, win back your health. That's why I'm running for President of the United States. This race is about you. This race is about truth, freedom, health versus power, profit, control. We've had enough. They think we'll fall in line and vote again for their lawyers, celebrities, billionaires, and chosen ones from above. We choose our heroes from below, from the rank and file, who do what is right at the right time, not when it's convenient and popular. They can never represent us. What America needs is a movement by the working people, for the working people, who are educated, organized, decentralized, and fight for independence from
from their systems of control. And that movement exists. It's ready for you. We don't need them. We need us to go bottoms up, neighbor to neighbor. My journey, your journey are all the same. It's our time. It's time we had one of us. It's time to win back truth, freedom, health, to win back America. Be part of this historic movement all the way to our victory on November 5th, 2024. If you're an American citizen, pledge your vote now for Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, the independent candidate for U.S. President. No matter where you live, you can be a part of this. Volunteer as little as 20 minutes a day. Don't delay. This is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, and I approve this message, paid for by Dr. Shiva for President. We have allowed our country to be taken over from within, and the end goal is you will have a homogenized world where we will become slaves, because there is a condition among the elites that really thinks they're better than you, deep down inside them, that you don't deserve the freedoms you have. They don't. This reality is what people need to wake up to, and we need to all unite working people. There's only one movement that can do that. And that is the movement that we started creating here in Massachusetts, the movement for truth, freedom, and health. Look, I've been a student of politics since I was a 4-year-old kid, studying revolutionary movements, left wing, right wing. There's a physics, there's a nuclear science to destroying the establishment. To build a bridge, you need to understand Newton's equation. You need to understand the laws of gravity. You need to understand Poisson's ratio. There is a way to build a revolution. And that's why I put this together. My goal is to train an army of truth, freedom, and health leaders. We don't need followers like social media. We need leaders, but they need training because the educational system does not teach them history, nothing. So in 3 hours, that's what I've started doing. That's the solution. We got to train people. First, with understanding what a system is, the dynamics of all systems that affect nature. The second is understanding the interconnection between truth, freedom, and health. Freedom is the ability to move freely, communicate freely, talk freely. Without freedom, you cannot convert ideas, hypothesis into truth, which is science. And without freedom, you can't really get to truth. And without truth, you make up fake problems and fake solutions, which means you destroy our health. And without health, which is the infrastructure of us and our body, you can't fight for freedom. Truth, freedom, health. Third concept is it has to be bottoms up. Working people, people who work uniting. And what the right wing has done is whenever you say working people unite, that must be communist. Meanwhile, they've let the Democrats run unions, which suppress workers, completely corrupt. But when you look at the arc of American history, it's been when working people came up. We need to go local. Every solution I'm coming up with as a part of this movement, we're giving the science, which is the truth, and then we tell people what they can do on the ground. Like with election fraud, you don't need to wait for some lawyer. Our goal is to train people to go local, to go local, to go local, fight locally. Forget lawyers, forget politicians, forget celebrities. You got to learn politics, and there is a science to it. They lock us down, we should be ready to shut them down. And the fourth part of this principle is the not so obvious establishment. So when you look at a system, there's always something that disturbs you from getting to your goal. Well, the biggest disturbance is the not so obvious establishment, which are those people who claim they're for you, on the left and the right. The Al Sharptons who tell black people I'm for you. The Tucker Carlsons. Do you think any true anti-establishment person will ever be on Fox or CNN? I don't think so. They both mislead working people back into the establishment. Without this solid understanding of political physics and theory, you're screwed. You're going to follow on the left wing, Bernie Sanders. Oh, he said something. Or Robert Kennedy. Scumbags. Or you're going to follow some right-wing talk show host. They're not going to lead us to liberation. It's us. We're building a bottoms-up movement, and that political physics, it's a nuclear science of change. Bottoms up. We have to organize to understand that there is people who talk a good game and then look at what they actually do, left and right. I'm sorry, Sean Hannity may say some good things, but I don't see the urgency in his voice to get something done, and it can only come when you weaponize yourself with the right knowledge. You need to be able to identify a rat. You know, Christ didn't go after the Romans, right? It was the Pharisees and the Sadducees who screwed him up. His own quote-unquote people. And that's where we're at. So these four concepts I've built into a curriculum where people can go to truthfreedomhealth.com, and it's an educational program. We need to train people in political theory. You need to have physics, and I've created that curriculum. People need to get educated. We need to get educated fast. And within a half an hour, I can teach people. 2 years of MIT control systems, I teach people those concepts. Then I apply it, anyone can understand it. And then you say, oh, I got to build a bottoms-up movement. They have to get politically astute, and then they have to go locally and act, not sit there on social media. They have to act locally, defy locally, do civil obedience locally, but with knowledge on how to build a movement. And the Senate campaign's expanded to the Movement for Truth, Freedom, and Health, and they can find it on truthfreedomhealth.com, so people can sign in, they can get access to a bunch of videos. If they want to take a course and become a Truth, Freedom, Health leader, I offer a full scholarship there, but we want people to make a commitment that they'll study, that they'll get certified, that they'll go do activities on the ground. So go to truthfreedomhealth.com.